Engine, medic, response.
In 2013, I was diagnosed with a pretty rare form of cancer. And since 2013, I've had multiple surgeries, chemo, almost 70 rounds of radiation, and I'm now a few body parts shorter than when I started this process. And for me, when you look at all the physical things I've went through, my cancer diagnosis was really driven home for me when I had to sit down and tell my family that their dad had cancer. So for me, as we start to look at what the Cancer Initiative means to us at South Metro and starting this process, it's really all about sending people home healthy and safe, and making sure that our employees and us as an organization is doing everything possible to reduce our exposure to carcinogens and to make sure that we're doing everything possible so people don't have to go through what I've had to go through over the last 5 years, and that they don't have to sit their family down and talk about what life looks like after a cancer diagnosis. I think it's interesting, when I came into the fire service, we were actually taught in the academy that we were kind of the lucky group, because our fathers and grandfathers that went before us didn't have the luxury of having air packs. And I think the part of the equation that most people missed was the amount of plastics that we were adding to residential structures and really all types of buildings, carpets, furnitures, all of those things, and the effects that would have, and how those chemicals latch onto our gear, our clothing, and we bring those back to the station.
The cancer's kind of coming from a lot of different areas for us. Diesel exhaust and emissions, combustion engine emissions, all of the nasty products that fires produce inside homes with newer synthetic materials that are predominantly placed throughout homes, new construction materials that are in buildings and homes, and also in those other types of fires like wildland fires, dumpster fires, and vehicle fires. All of those nasty products from the plastics and synthetic materials, when they burn, we're coming in contact with them. They're being absorbed through our skin. Without proper decontamination and cleaning of our equipment and our firefighters, that exposure's continuing and continuing. So our efforts are to try and stop that. Well, these products, they travel around, and in some of the studies that have recently been done, they're finding the ways that the firefighters and the equipment and the rigs are bringing those contaminants or carcinogens back into the stations. So after you get out of the fire, you take your equipment off, you're touching that equipment, it's absorbing your skin, you're bringing that equipment, your clothing, and your gear back into a station, and it just continues from there, from when you touch the handrail on the stairs, to when you go and touch the refrigerator, to when you grab the clean set of clothes with your dirty hands. It's just all cumulative and compiling on top of us and continuing that contamination, not only back into the fire station, but unless properly showering and decontaminating your equipment, it's going to their homes and their second jobs and places like that, and ending up in their vehicles. So it's a combination of different things, from the emissions from our trucks all the way to what we're seeing in fires of all types.
And I think it's key to realize that this is part of the national progression of keeping firefighters safe, and most everybody in our organization, I think, has seen the Hager video and understands the steps that we took as an organization after Captain Hager's death to make sure that we never lost another firefighter in a structure fire. So that included making sure that all of our people carried a portable radio, increasing our capabilities with command and control through the CTC, and many of those upgrading SOGs, and a lot of stuff to make sure that from a task level, when we're operating on a fire ground, that our firefighters are well trained from a tactical and strategic level, that our command officers are making sure that they're competent, and we do a good job of controlling the fire ground so that we can send everybody home safe. I think after we kind of got that under control, the fire service progressed to making sure our firefighters were healthy and fit. And again, I think South Metro was a leader in that. When you look at our METS testing, us giving people access to nutritionalists, and what we've done with our whole wellness center and raising the bar there. And again, I think although a lot of departments are starting the cancer prevention, we're on the leading edge, and we just don't know exactly where this is going to go. But I think that the trend is looking more at our exposure to carcinogens on structure fire calls and stuff like that, more as hazmat calls, where we're actually getting deconned, and we're trying to leave as many as those contaminants at the scene instead of bringing those back.
So what you're going to see is after we're done operating at the scene of the fire, you're going to see a decontamination area set up. It's going to have a hose line. We're going to supply each unit with a bucket that has all the necessary equipment in there to get the decontamination process done. So there's going to be brushes in there. There's going to be heavy-duty trash bags. There's going to be seat covers for their equipment so they don't get in and get the interior of their apparatus dirty. And so what they're going to do is they're going to go through the decontamination process. They're going to strip all of their gear. They're going to clean it all off. They're going to bag it up in heavy-duty trash bags. They're going to place it in their apparatus outside of the cab which they ride in. And then they're going to do the same with their SCBA. They're going to place that in their apparatus. They're going to put their seat cover in the rig, and they're going to get back in the rig, go back to the station. And then again, they'll don medical gloves and respirator masks. And they'll thoroughly clean all of their equipment, switch into a second set of gear that's supplied to all of our firefighters at South Metro. And then they will shower and go back in service in a timely manner. Now we're going to do that, we're going to have ways that they're not going to extend their out of service time, so if there's a high acuity call, they'll be able to respond in their wildland gear to certain types of calls, so that we are able to meet that need of the citizen, provided it takes place in their close vicinity. What we do know is that there are certain types of cancers that firefighters get at much higher rates than the general population. We know a lot of that is linked to diesel emissions and contaminants that are found in smoke from structure and other types of fires. So what we're doing is the same as I think the rest of the country has been doing forever, is trying to find a way to prevent cancer. I think as far as the community is concerned, what we're doing for them is, we're doing the right thing. We're being a thoughtful and supportive organization of our employees. We're being responsible with what we're doing. We're recognizing the impact of our employees, because our employees are a part of our community. So I think our community would rest easy knowing that we're looking at this responsibly. We're doing what we can, and we're trying to make it safer for them, because they care. We have a good relationship with our community, and they want us to do the right thing for our people.
I think from an off chief's perspective, Mike Freeman's funeral was extremely difficult for me. And again, anytime you lose a member, whether it's cancer related or an auto accident or a building collapse, it's difficult. And probably as ops chief, handing the flag to Mike's daughter and handing the helmet to his son was one of the most difficult things I've had to do as an ops chief, and probably in my entire fire service career. And again, my hope is that I never have to do that again. But I think most of us know that Mike isn't going to be our last cancer-related death. And the whole process is a little surreal for me because the cancer that I have, I can't get rid of. They know they can't get rid of it. So as I'm sitting in Mike's funeral, not only am I thinking about, the tragic loss of Mike Freeman, it's kind of a view into my future. Most likely, if something doesn't happen to me and I don't get hit by a bus or something like that, I'll die of this, and most likely it's not going to be 10 or 15 years away. So it's a harsh reality of what we are dealing with in the fire service right now. Cancer is going to be a true epidemic in the fire service for us, and I don't think this is just scratching the surface of where we're going to be in 3 and 5 years from now with our cancer prevention.